much for coming to our studios, the studios of King Media. You have been a person of interest to us as King Media, given the initiatives that you guys come up with you spearheading it really, which is the 70 days of prayer and fasting for South Sudan. First, I would like you to introduce yourself fully before we start our conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Scopus, and thank you, King's Media, for hosting me today. My name is Newton Waniba. I like it that way. And I am married. I live in South Sudan with my children and with my wife. I also do other things, other roles. I normally like to say I like creating and managing. And so in other future moments, we will be able to talk about other things other than the prayer.
Our conversation is largely going to center on the 70 days of prayer and fasting for South Sudan. And this was nearly 2 months ago when it was concluded. It concluded in Torit, the birthplace of the liberation struggle of South Sudanese against the successive Sudanese regimes. A lot of statements were said there that reckons with the frustrations of many people in this country. The biggest question now is, what next for the church? I've seen in your draft report, you have suggested, you referring to you as the entire church, or the people behind these 70 days of prayer and fasting, which is South Sudan Council of Churches, the intercessors, and you in your report you say you need to secure resources through strategies with partners to begin facilitation of meetings and conferences. You also did mention identifying experts to join church leaders as mediators. Then, of course, you talked of capacity building of the church leaders and experts on peaceful negotiations. Consult with all political leaders in government and those in opposition, including those outside the country. Discussions focus on war is not an option, but peaceful dialogue. Every war ends with dialogue, and so on. You also suggested many regional conferences that should bring paramount chiefs, church leaders, community leaders, and eminent personalities. And then you also suggested general and national conference to be convened at the national capital, Juba. And then you suggest revisiting the national dialogue, which I was going to mention anyway, because some of these suggestions were most of the things discussed in the national dialogue. So, in summary, what are these suggestions geared towards as the church? What do you envision? What needs to come out of all these suggestions, leading up to what in particular?
Thank you very much. I know that 70 years of war is always leaving a big scar and a trauma in the whole population, even to those who are still being born. They are born and they find themselves into a trauma that is almost like unending. So the church has reflected. Calling the whole nation to pray and fast is an opportunity. You know, as humans, we are in most cases selfish. We think about ourselves even when the problem is not touching us. But the discipline of prayer and fasting normally makes one to deny self and begin to reflect and touch the real point. And of course, as you say, a lot of statements have been made, and that is it. But surely after praying, without action, as the Bible says, it is useless. When you pray, then you act. Faith requires that one acts. So indeed, this has to continue. We are not the only society around the globe. There are societies that are living in peace among themselves. And if you compare ourselves to them, then it's like they are wise and we are not. Because we never do things that are required of us. And so as we suggested there, indeed, that dialogue must be the only option required. What is it that as South Sudanese we would always think the solution is when we kill the young people? Especially it is a decision of the older people, those who now say we can lead. They never take care about those who get themselves into gun confrontations. That's why in some essence we have seen peace agreements being brokered, and these peace agreements have never held water. So some of them had fewer implementation, and the others had nothing. So what we really want to say is that some of us, the leaders, whether in church or in government, we are like not having people who should be following us or speaking to us or rebuking us. And that's why now we think, after reflection, the church leaders must be respected to the point of them representing God, because God is supreme. So everyone in this country should be able to adhere to an advice, and the last person would be a church leader. We have senior church leaders, and these senior church leaders had spoken there. So the real thing which we have gotten in the last 70 years was bloodshed and death. So why can't we have peace after these 70 years? And it has to be several talks, because it is always better to talk again and again, other than hurrying with the gun confrontation where we lose lives and several of the young people will be dying, and then later on we agree. As we say, every other peace, even including whatever we hear outside, they will always come back to dialogue. Even the issues in Israel and Palestinian, they are still talking about peace talks. So the last resort is always peace talks. Then if peace talks is what we are gearing to, why can't we even start with it, other than first of all killing ourselves? So the church leaders should be able to speak to the people, and the people should decide, because the people and the community leaders, they are the what? They are the custodians of the indigenous everywhere. And then the politicians mobilize these people to come and fight. So if they will be mobilized to a conference, then we agree. As a society, we should have wisdom of deciding for what is right, which can safeguard all of us and our people and our children, other than always relying on few who seem to be leading us, but they are leading us to hell, they are leading us to war, they are leading us to disunity, to stagnation, to poverty. We really need to come back to our senses and say dialogue is the only thing. And like national dialogue, the drafts and the concluded one and the report that was presented, we really don't see any meaning spending money to that regard and then discarding the documents and the resolution inside. Because scientifically, that is the decision of the people of South Sudan. The samples are all over from representing, just like the referendum that was the decision of all South Sudanese. So national dialogue shouldn't be abandoned, because when we talk about dialogue, we should be able to reflect on what dialogue took place and what were the resolutions. And those resolutions need to be implemented. They shouldn't be just kicked out like that. And I think our church leaders should be able to ask our leaders, the political leaders, yes, from all parties, they should answer. Why do they disregard the opinion of South Sudanese? And we cannot continue in transitions that always take us to bloodshed.
Yes, so now, right now there is an existing peace agreement. It may not be perfect in terms of its implementation, but there is an existing peace agreement. Now, if you read through, what next of the report, is the church suggesting brokering another peace agreement, or what are the intentions in all those recommendations?
The church leaders, the senior church leaders will be able to answer how, but as regards to my opinion, everyone has seen that the peace agreement has not been implemented with the willingness. If we take CPA was implemented. We can give credit to the Khartoum government then and the SPLM leadership that came out of the bush in 2005. They both implemented in good faith most of the parts of the agreement. But though we are still left with the CPA, where some parts were not implemented, 2 regions in Sudan, and then the Abyei issue was left out. But the rest of the things were implemented in good faith. That's why we got the independence. Now, as South Sudanese, I don't understand why people do not like to implement things. So how can it be renewed 20 times? Because it doesn't make sense. And even the guarantors are like lost somewhere. There should be a way forward after a certain period of time, because after renewing 2 times, so for now, we know it is still existing, and it still presents the best option, because I have talked here about dialogue, and that was a result of dialogue. People dialogued and tendered their signature on a paper, and they agreed to implement some aspects. But when they came, and then they begin to dodge. But the reality is that we need to, when we talk about the dialogue, it's not about every other thing. I think not implementing the other agreement is also a point of discussion. And what can be done? Let there be a concrete strategy, because time is going, lives were lost, and today you hear a lot of insurgencies around, and things are not happening, like roads have closed up. So these are things that we are supposed to be done so that we know we are going forward. So that agreement is working, it is there, but why can't people know and point fingers at the table and say, so and so you are the problem? Because if 2 people keep on saying, so and so is the problem, the other one is the problem, they don't agree, then both of them are the problems. That's what the National Dialogue said.
Yes. So, talking about the 70 days of prayer and fasting, what inspired this national spiritual campaign?
Yeah, thank you for this. The fact is that people have seen that the stagnant nature in our country has persisted for long. And what inspired is really the suffering. If you look around, the country has not rested from 1955. People have always been fighting, running, displacements, no development, no education. If you look at the statistics, we are behind in education, healthy statistics indicating a lot of children dying at birth, women dying, and there are people that we have even forgotten them, who are in the village. They're just surviving like naturally. So, and when you look around, some of our countries in Africa are progressing. So, and also in the Bible, it is clear that sometimes stagnations are because of spiritual lives of the people. So we know that our people have not focused their attention on what is right, because what is right, doing right, is not happening. When you look at corruption tendencies, the statistics are showing us on the ground. In the essence, it's like the whole country are corrupt. And when you hear we are like 60% Christians, and Christian values in the Bible are not for these kind of things. And when you read also, the Bible was talking about Israel had a promise from God for 70 years, that they will be in captivity for 70 years, and after that, they will be released and come back to continue and develop their country and good plans for them. So that virtually inspired the prayer, the problems we have had, the persistent insecurity and the wars. And so it inspired us to say, let us reflect, let us pray, because other people prayed. Even today as we sit, people pray in America, people pray in Uganda, people pray in Kenya, in Ethiopia. They pray, they gather and pray. So as a nation, we cannot watch. We just want to be standing in solidarity with those who are suffering. There are children in the streets. There are women who are not being taken care of. They just deliver naturally by mercy of God that they can deliver a healthy child and they remain alive. So these are difficult things in our life, and many of us are displaced, refugees in big numbers, and some of us who are exposed, they are outside the country because they can't come back. There is nothing that is inviting them. So we have a bigger population in the diaspora as South Sudanese. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So talking about prayer, some people question, including myself, when the day of the launch, the media was invited and King Media was there, the day of the launch of the 70 days of prayer and fasting. And I did ask the question that people continue to pray in South Sudan and in Africa, but the conditions of people continue to remain dire. Do prayer change things? Do really prayer change things? So in other words, some people question whether prayer alone can change the country's situation. I don't know what you have to say about that.
Yeah. Prayers change things in life. First of all, prayers will change a life of a person. Because some people want to pray to change something and they don't want to change their lives and their actions. Because the major issue of prayer is to change an individual to be focused on what is right. And then there, it is the individuals who will do what is right. That's the major part of the prayer. So when this prayer was launched, it is also for the individuals to reflect and they think that we stop what is wrong and we do what is right. Because nations and the civilizations are based on moral standing of individuals. It is individuals who decide for what is right. So by coming to a prayer, definitely when you hear prayer, it is reflecting between you and God.
Yeah,
And
but you see, Newton, some of these political leaders whom we know move to church every day. They sit in front rows. They pledge financial support to churches. They do what is expected of Christians, Mufrut. But behind the curtains, they do the opposite. They are the one with the stone hearts to bring peace and stability and prosperity to the people of South Sudan. And here are the people we are targeting with prayers and fasting. So how sure are we that they are really going to change?
Let me give just prayers has power. In most cases, when you get in the New Testament, you'll see that Jesus has always, his teaching was, for those who don't know what they are doing, should not be met by a revenge. They should be met by mercy and forgiveness in the hope that they change. But when it comes to national issues, public things, you cannot just play. Let's have a record. I know King Media is here. Have a record, and then in future you see. Those who have played with the war and the bloodshed of the people, it is a curse. If you had the primate speak at the end of the 70 days in Torit, he had said something, stop the war. So it's not a playing with human life. Human life is, when you play with it, it is a curse. It's actually on their disadvantage. They have gone already in their decision with the many other people who have lost their lives. So where the tone of the people is that let them change. It's a call. It will not be forever. You can even have a data of those who have been notorious on the globe. And where are they today? And where are their families? Because the whole thing of a curse, it happens to everyone. When we are told to do what is right and you refuse, definitely there is consequence. One of the consequences is what we are lacking here, because we don't have the rule of law in its fullness. That's why wrong people are supposed to be behind bars, including those who misappropriate the resources of the nation. Even those who order wars unnecessarily, they are supposed to be accountable. They should be charged for what they have done. But if that is not there, then the natural law is there. The natural law is going to happen. So it's not like
what is the natural law?
The natural law is that God brings a curse on people who are doing wrong. Yeah. Those who murder, the Bible says they will also die through murder. Those who kill. So I don't want to open a Pandora of history. There are people who have done wrong. Their lives have also ended, even with the same to their own children. So the whole call is that let us do what is right. Let's love one another. We should fix this country. If we never fix it, the next person is, the Bible has said that the next person, if you don't treat the orphans well, it will be you to die also. It is there. Yeah. Because where are you going to go with? Even if you have accumulated the resources, those resources will never be enjoyed by your grandchildren, because it is a cursed money.
Yeah. Thank you. We shall take a short break and then we'll resume.
Welcome to King Media Productions, where imagination meets reality. From breathtaking films to captivating commercials, we bring your vision to life. Our dedicated team works tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring every frame tells a story. Join us on this journey as we create unforgettable experiences together. King Media Productions, your story starts here.
We really appreciate you.
Welcome back, viewers. We appreciate you still following my conversation with Mr. Newton, who has been instrumental in the 70 days prayer and fasting for South Sudan. Mr. Newton, we talked about the message from the primate to the political leadership of this country: stop the war. And you said it comes with consequences. When you continue to do wrong things, many people die as a result of your actions or decisions. There will be a 40th day, according to you. What are some of the key messages or revelations that emerged during the 70 days of prayer throughout the period up to the conclusion in Torit?
Thank you very much. A lot emerged. One is that unity of purpose is always important. People should always come together. And as people who pray, intercessors are individuals who pray in the dark for the nation. They hold their country, because life is not about the physical, the spiritual aspect is there. So there's prayer for the nation. Whether we are going well, we need to hold our nation in prayer, leaders in prayer, all, even the young people, in prayer. And also reflection of the failures of the past. From 1955, the Torit Mutiny, in most cases it talked about regarding to politics. But on the ground we were able to dig, and we found that it was also spiritual in nature. Some of those individuals who were murdered we happened to visit the mass grave. They were picked one after the other to confess to their parents before they could be executed. And what they confessed, some of them to their parents, were that we are dying, but this nation will never be under a religious force. It will be freed one time. It will one time be independent. So those who died had spoken that. So these are things that we found because of this period, and the reflections included that there is need for progress, and the progress is that leaders should always focus on the four important aspects. Political leaders at the peak. The issue is to unite the people. If they never united the people, that means they have not achieved anything. Number 2 is security all over the country. Number 3 is that there should be economic health. The health of the economy should be seen. It is not to be just spoken about. We do not need explanations. We need to see the economy of South Sudan rising because its people are involved. And lastly, we need to know that there's a good foreign policy. That means our borders shouldn't be misused, or other people shouldn't come and take up and cause a problem. From 1956, when Sudan got independence, South Sudan did not have a problem with Uganda on border. In fact, Uganda became independent later. Why would Uganda be the one to explain the problem of our borders? So the leaders at the top should be concerned about the foreign policy, about the unity of the people, about the economy of South Sudan, and about the unity of the people of South Sudan. And how do you unite people who are from different tribes, who are mistrusted themselves? You unite them by putting them in the same place, treating them the same. Have a rule of law where you don't favor others. Let them see their faces in the army, in the government offices, all of them. Even if the smallest tribe in South Sudan should see their faces in everything of the nation. That is the way. You can't fight yourselves as children of South Sudan. It's a small place. You are endowed with the resources. You can't die in poverty because we have too much, a lot. That's why every foreigner who comes here, they have always been blessed, and their countries are blessed because they have come here. And for us, we focus our attention on small things. But also something that came out is that our leaders are involved in witchcraft. Because of the fear during the war, these 2 wars of 1955, 17 years, and then also the one of the SPLA,
1983. Yes.
83 until 2005, these 2 major wars scared some of our commanders to the point that they sought powers to safeguard themselves. And because they got used to it, even they came into the government with these kind of things. And you know, spiritual powers, if you get involved with it, they always demand blood. They demand destruction of lives. So the call is that let them stop these things. There's a power. God has a power. And many of us are living without these powers, and we are surviving, we are staying. So why should they be so fearful to the point that they want to have that? And when you get involved in these powers, you also become more greedy and a fool because your mind is always confused. So a lot of things came up, and the call is that let us stop this. Let us build our country with the justice, peace, liberty, and freedom for everyone.
Yes, as we conclude our conversation, I have two or three questions. One is to remind ourselves, South Sudan's liberation struggle was about freedom, dignity, and equality. I would like to ask you, as a citizen, as a South Sudanese who grew up in all these wars, are we living up to those ideals today?
No.
Do we have equality? Do we have freedom? Do we have dignity in this country?
No. We do not live to those ideals. I don't know how quickly we just forgot. When we were actually campaigning in the bush, and talking about them again and again. By 87, SPLA had arrived to my village. And that's where I had to delay my education because we were in the people who are called the Jesamer in the bushes. So there was no education. Now, all that we had, even when we had the opportunity in the refugee camp in Uganda, was that we have a country. We were talking to the people proudly, coming back to serve and to work, to contribute.
Right.
So today, we have found ourselves stagnant. Some of us have gone out and they are not willing to come back. They have even gone with their children because there is no freedom. These ideals are not being seen. They are still being spoken, especially when you hear our leaders who are past like Dr. John Garang. You will still hear clips that is still reminding us. And they are not yet there. We are not yet there, but it is possible for us to begin thinking about them now that we get to these ideals. We cannot just be speaking about something and we don't implement. Then we are liars. The fact is that leaders should take leadership. The church leaders should also take their position to go and speak with the political leaders. And we don't need to hear what they are discussing because we do not want to be disrespectful to them. Let them speak even outside camera and talk to themselves the real things. There shouldn't be no fear when we are talking about realities, things that result to death of others, our children, and the stagnation of this country, making us a laughing stock around the world. Those issues do not need compromise. We need to talk to them. We need to point fingers. When leaders sit, they should point fingers that you are the problem. But we are sitting here not like criticizing you. As a leader, we are supporting you to come up with an idea, and together it will be our own idea. Kagame said, if they fail, they are failing as the Rwandese. And if they succeed, they are also succeeding as a nation. So take decisions, and when it is a success, all of us will clap our hands, and we will appreciate you. Just like when you led us out of the war into independence of South Sudan. All of us were very happy. 2010 elections meant all of us voted. The leaders that are today here, they were voted then. But that election was organized by Sudan, by Khartoum. Why can't we organize ours? Credible election where a leader, whoever will be voted in, should be celebrated by the leaders who are not voted in. And the last thing I want to say is this. When elections are going to come, let us educate the political leaders. Because many of our African leaders, they don't know how to comprehend when they have failed elections. They go into annoyance and into fighting. So they need to learn that when you fail, just like in football, we were defeated with the 5 South Sudanese. I was not happy. But that is the result. So the only thing is we fall back to select good players and we shall compete another time to pass.
Right. Finally, how can every citizen, you've been talking about the church, you've been talking about the political leadership, how can every citizen contribute to building the South Sudan we have been praying for? Every citizen in the sense of women, men, girls, boys, farmers, cattle keepers in the camps, the army, the police, the media.
I would want to say we had prayed for a family. From the level of a family, all of us need to start from there. As the fathers and the mothers, let us pray for our children and let's work to give them something to eat ourselves. We don't need to beg from our brothers and sisters and the relatives. If you have given birth, biologically you support your own and then add to those orphans who need to be helped. You can contribute that. And you need to work hard. You don't need to dodge responsibility. We know it is a chaotic situation for now, but we can do something. We shouldn't discuss issues like this tribe was our enemy, like this. We should begin to forgive them, but also speak positive about them when we are alone without them. That, as a citizen, it will help. Rebuke those who are trying to put things like generalizing. This tribe is like this, everyone is like that. You cannot take everyone. That is a fallacy of generalization. So every tribe has good and bad people, but all of us would help the ones who have challenges to become good. Let's win them to be good people. And let's not allow this country to descend to chaos. If we can't learn about what happened in Rwanda, my people, South Sudanese, then we are failures. We need to learn, and we should know. The only way is forgiveness, reconciliation, and we call for justice. And that's an activity that should be done by all of us. And lastly, we should allow our young people to marry across our tribes. We don't need these fallacies of saying, maybe we only marry ladies from there and then ours cannot be married there. There's no limit. The world is even open. We have South Sudanese who have married the Kawajas. Why not marrying ourselves here and there? Because the more we do these things, then we become united. And we become united by purpose. Because we are now in-laws, friends, and so forth. And we should also do businesses together. These businesses of, say, incorporating company as one tribe and all that. Let's find, because I have said good people are found everywhere. It is up to you to look for them. And when you get them, it is a good demonstration that South Sudanese are now working together. So it is a mandate for all of us as people of South Sudan.
Thank you very much, Newton, for the time you have given us in the studio. We appreciate this moment, and we look forward to have further conversation on many, national issues that are of concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Scopas.
Thank you, viewer, for listening to King TV. We've had a conversation, and that conversation was really centered around the 70 days of prayer and fasting. We are almost 2 months away from the conclusion of the 70 days prayer and fasting in Torit. We appreciate you for staying this long following our conversation. We promise to be bringing similar conversations with different people on different topical issues of the country. Thank you. This is King TV, Beyond the News.